Hey guys, this is Gloria. So I am back to share with you guys my tutorial on how I created the polished shaker cards that I just shared with you guys. So first things first, a little disclaimer. My inspiration came from Honeybee Stamps. They do have a new die out that makes a nail polish shaker card. They also have a stamp set as well as another die set that you can purchase. So if you don't have a Cricut Maker or a Cricut or a Silhouette or any of those types of digital cutting machines, you can always go over to their site. I found it on Simon Says Stamp. They also have on Simon Says Stamp, they have a coupon code that takes $5 off of a $5 purchase. That coupon code is SVE954. I will link that down below. Um, and that will take $5 off of your purchase. I did purchase the stamp set from Simon Says Stamp using that coupon code, and it brought it down to $5, so it was a very reasonable price. But this is for those that want to try out Cricut Design Space maybe and try to make this card on your own. It's very similar to the Honeybee Stamps card, but it is different and it's super easy to create. So the other thing I want to tell you guys is I am very used to working on my Silhouette Cameo. I just got my Cricut Maker for my birthday from my husband, and I am just now trying to learn how to work Cricut Design Space, which seems pretty simple, honestly, but just a little disclosure there that I am not an expert in no way with Cricut Design Space, and I'm just going to show you guys how I created the cards that I shared with you guys since you guys were interested. Okay, guys, with all of that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the project. So what you're looking at right here is Cricut Design Space, and this is their canvas or their mat. I'm just going to click on images right over here, and what it's going to bring up is the Cricut library. And so I'm going to search right here, and I'm just going to put in polish. And when I put in polish, this is all the nail polish images that came up for me. You may have more in your library, I'm not sure, but this is the one that I used here. So I'm just going to click on that, and as you can see, it turned green. I'm going to go ahead and insert image. Once I insert the image, as you can see, because this image is all grouped together, it's just nail polish and it's all grouped together right here. And if I click make it, what the machine is going to do, or what the program is going to do, is it's going to create all these different mats with all the different pieces, which I think is really, really cool, because that's not something that the Silhouette Cameo did for you. You would have to actually position the images where you need them to be in order to cut them on different pieces of paper and stuff like that. In this case, it already separates them into different colors. Okay, but I'm going to click cancel because I don't want to make it, and I am not hooked up to my Cricut right now. So what we need to do is we need to delete some pieces from this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right over here to the right, and I'm going to click ungroup. And once I click ungroup, now as you can see, all of these pieces are separate pieces. Here's the white part of the flower, the orange, the top part of the flower, the green, the top part of the lid, the green part. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go in and we're going to click on each one of those pieces. I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard. So I'm going to click on the orange, click delete, click on the green, click delete, because I don't need those. Those are not pieces that I'm going to use. I'm going to slide this top over, and because the images are meant to layer on top of each other, Cricut does give you this little guideline right here. I don't need that guideline because I think that that just weakens the card a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this base part of my nail polish, and I'm going to click contour, which is at the bottom right hand corner. It's the fifth little icon down there. I'm just going to click on that, and and as you can see right here where it says high contour, it says on image below, select outline portions to turn cut off and on. So I'm just going to click on that, and that's going to actually turn this little line off. And so then I'm going to click the X, and now as you can see, my nail polish does not have that line. And like I said, I just took it away because number one, I don't need my machine to cut that. And number two, I think that it just weakens the card. So I don't want that to be there. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this base part a couple of different times. So I'm going to just click over here at the top right hand corner, the third icon in where it says duplicate. I'm just going to click that a couple different times or a few different times. And I think that's about it. So I have 4 different layers of the same thing, okay? So one is going to be my top layer, one is going to be my back layer, and 2 of them are going to act as my card base, okay? So let's work on the card base first. So what I want to do is I want to just change the color of this because as I showed you in the beginning, Cricut Design Space likes to cut by color and it kind of organizes your images better. So I'm just going to click it and I'm going to change the color of my little nail polish base. And I'm going to make that like a neutral cream. Let's just make it a neutral cream. And I'm going to also do the same thing to this one here. And I'm going to make that a neutral cream as well. For the top, I'm going to change the top to black because that would be probably what a nail polish top would maybe look like. And then for the front, I'm going to change that to maybe this pink crystal color. And then for the back, I'm going to also change that to the pink crystal color because you would probably have the same color on the front as well as the back. So I'm just going to click right there. And, let's try that again. I'm going to click the pink crystal color and it should turn pink. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to highlight one and then I'm going to hold down my shift button and I'm going to highlight the other. And as you can see now I have both of them highlighted together, okay? Well, first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move them towards each other just like that. And what I'm doing is I'm just overlapping the design a bit because that's going to make it where we're able to fold this card in half. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first one. I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to click on my second one. I'm going to go right up here to the align, right here to align. I'm just going to click on that and I'm going to say align the bottom because I know that if the bottoms are aligned, then everything is aligned and that's what I want it to be, okay? So once I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a boundary box around it, or you can click on each one of them however you want to do it. And then I'm going to just click right down here at the bottom right hand corner where it says weld. I'm going to weld those 2 pieces together. And now they move as one. And this is going to create our card base, okay? And so with that, you can click on shapes if you like. You can click here on score line, and that's going to add a score line to your page. And you can actually put a score line right inside of here if you wanted to. And I would make that score line much smaller, maybe. And, you know, let's see. Okay. And so I would just put just a little score line right down the middle if you wanted to. And that would just ensure that it, you know, your card base will fold properly. But I honestly did not use a score line because I just was able to just fold the card in half myself and I didn't have to have that extra cut. Anytime I don't have to have an extra cut is a plus for me. So I want to make as few cuts as I possibly can because to me, the Cricut does take a little bit longer to cut than the Silhouette Cameo did. So anyway, so I have this part, and this is my card base, and now this is my my top. I only need one of those. I need my front, and I need my back. Now, my back is going to stay the same because this image is pretty much like a mirrored image of itself, I guess, already. So I don't need to mirror this image, but if the shape was an irregular shape, then you would want to mirror this back image so that when you go to put the back of your card, like the back of your card onto your card, onto your card base, your back layer, you would want it to be mirrored. But in this case, we don't need to mirror it because it fits perfectly without mirroring it. And the reason why I did a back for my card was because putting these layers all on the front made the card very front heavy. And, you just kind of want to balance it out a bit. You can also make two of these tops and put one on the front as well as one on the back. And then that way you will ensure that your card will kind of weigh the same on the front and back, and it won't kind of bend or buckle or anything like that. So what I did to create the shaker portion of my card was I took, my front. So we're just going to call this one my front and this one my back. Okay. So this one is my front. So what I did was I just went over here to shapes and I just picked a heart shape. Now you can pick a star, you can pick a pentagon, a hexagon, a triangle, whatever you want. But I picked a heart. And this is the heart right here. And I just kind of sized it down to fit inside of my bottle. And you could you can make it as large as you want, as small as you want. But what I was concerned about was having enough room around the perimeter of that circle in order to add my foam to it. Okay. And I actually cut my foam pieces on my Cricut Maker, but I know that, you can also just use foam tape. And so in that case, you want to make sure that you have enough space around this heart in order to make sure that you have enough space to put your foam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the heart. And honestly, the first time that I did this, or I only did it one time, which is the time I made the cards. But what I did was I just kind of eyeballed it. I did not like try to, I just made sure like this was kind of like in the middle. And I'm using like these grid lines right here. And then I just took the heart and I just kind of tried to put it in the middle as best I could. And I just eyeballed it. Like it was no big deal. But I do know that there is an arrange button, right up top. And you can actually arrange this better where you'll make sure that the heart is in the middle. But, I just eyeballed it. So now that the heart is on there, what I want to do is I want to click on my nail polish bottle. I'm going to hit shift and I'm going to click on the heart as well. So both of those are now highlighted. You can tell over here because this is dark and then this is dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group them together first. So now they're going to move as one. And then I'm also going to attach. And when you attach those two things, now when I click make it, it won't try to cut that heart out separately from my bottle. So now all of this is attached as one piece. And what this is going to do is it's going to make my area for my shaker bits to go inside of. And so now that is my front of my card. So it's going to go just like that on the front of the card. And then that part is going to go on the back of the card, back there somewhere on the back of the card. And then this part is going to go on top. And so to show you what that looks like, I'll just click, I'll click this. And if you go right up here where arrange is, you can say move to the front. And once I do that, I can just move it right here to the front. And then that's how my little nail polish shaker card came out. And the sizes that I used for my card, if I click, actually what you can do, because what I did the first time was I just clicked on all of my pieces, right? And I just drug them. And I just, kind of trial and error. I just kind of drug them kind of big. And then I clicked on the base part to see how big this base part was going to be. And, if it wasn't as big as I needed it to be, then I would just click on all my pieces again and drag them a little bit bigger. And then I would come back and I would check this again. And so what I ended up with was a card base measuring, and I'll go right up here where the width size is. It measured 4.67, and the height of this was 5.4. So I'm going to unlock this here. This little lock right here unlocks, and that way you can add your measurements in without the machine kind of second guessing you. So again, I'm going to put in for my height, I'm going to put in 4.677, and that was for my width, I'm sorry, and for my height it's going to be 5.781, and I'm just going to hit enter, and then that is my card base. That's the same size of the card base that I made. And then for the top was I'm going to unclick this again, and the width of my top was 1.188, and the height of it was 2.636. And then I'm just going to click enter, and it's going to make my top the size I need it. And then my front is going to be, width is going to be, let's see, 2.357, and my height is going to be pretty much the same height as the card. It's going to be it should be 5.781, and then this one should be that same size. So once you get all the sizing, and like I said, you can just guesstimate for your sizes just by clicking on all of your parts and making sure that you don't have to group it together, but you can click group right up here, and then that way you can move them as big or as small as you want them to be, and then you can just go ahead and cut your card out. And then I also used a bow from Cricut Design Space, and I'll show you guys the bow that I used. I'll just go back to images, and then I will type bow. And I call this my Civ bow because when I first saw this bow, it was on a Crafty Poodle Mom's channel, and her name is Civ, and it was so cute. It's this bow right here. If I click on it and I go insert image, I'll show you guys what that looks like. And this is the bow right here. And all you would have to do is just scale this bow down to size. And the way that I figured out the size of bow that I needed it to be, I put this right in the middle, and I imagined if I folded this bow in half, how big would I actually need this bow to be. And so you could just use your little toggle button right down here, and you can make it as big or as small as you want. And so you can kind of just eyeball it and see. If I had this bow right here in the middle, and this is the middle, and I folded this over and I folded this over, would that bow fit on top of my bottle? And that's all I did. But I will tell you the measurement for one of the bows that I used was 3.243 inches wide by 1.727 inches high, and that bow fit on my bottle. But you can definitely use any bow that you may have. So that is about it. That is how I made my little shaker cards for my nail polish cards, and that's it. So it was really easy. But if you guys have any questions, by the way, in what I mentioned before is I also cut out this portion, the front portion. Let me just ungroup that right quick. But this one right here, I actually cut that out of foam because the Cricut Maker does cut foam. And so using the rotary blade, it was really simple to cut the foam out. Or if you don't want to cut foam on your Cricut, what you could do is you can always just duplicate these a bunch of different times, cut it out of cardstock, and just layer the cardstock so many times. And then that way you'll have enough cardstock to be the height of a piece of foam, and you could just put that all on your card. Or the other thing that you could do is you could just use foam tape and run the foam tape right around your shape, and just block it all in so that your shaker bits won't fall out. And in terms of the acetate that I used, I just used transparency. I picked mine up. I had like a box of 50 or 100 from the thrift store, and I want to say it cost me $2 or $3, and I bought it a little while ago. And I just used that, and I didn't even try to run it through my machine or anything. I just freehand cut it the size of, larger than my window, glued it in, and then put my foam on, put my shaker bits in, and then layered, all of my pieces together. So that's about it. So as always, guys, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Take care, guys. Bye.